Okay, got a bunch of windows called up here. I'm going to close them back out. This video is going to be on why, in my examples anyway, Platesolves fail. And there's going to be two main reasons that I've run into that my plate solving has failed on sequence generator. So if you go up here to Tools, and you hit User Profile Manager, and you call up whatever one, mine is called Normal Red Cat, doesn't matter what you call it. You double click on that. If you don't have your Latin longitude set correctly in the User Profile Manager, that's one reason it fails, and I'll show you why. And hopefully this works, because I don't have any of my gear turned on, so. But if you go there, now you know that's set correctly. If you go to Tools, Equipment Profile Manager, and you go to Platesolve. Oops, I gotta load it first. Load my normal one. I'll just bring up that one. Platesolve Settings, and then come over to here, that window that popped up, and hit Edit Parameters. There's the Latin long that you have entered. If that's wrong, then this plate solving feature won't know its starting point, and it won't work correctly. I don't know what it defaults to, but the first time I had issues, I called that up and I looked here and I said, oh, the Latin long's wrong. And then I went back out, went into the, oh, it's not going to let me do that with that up. Let's close that. Went up to User Profile and entered the right Latin long, and that solved the problem the first time. The second time, and I'm going to pause this for a second. Okay, so I got this called back up. I'm again in the Equipment Profile Manager, which you get up to by going to Tools. I don't know if it'll let me do it because it's already up. It won't. But it's under Tools, Equipment Profile Manager. The other one is this crazy number down here, Scale. Where do you get the scale? Well, I'll go up to the house computer, and I'm going to show you how to figure out scale. And again, that's under the Equipment Profile Manager, Camera, under whatever one that you normally use. And I have different setups for my Canon camera, 2 different scopes. Now for every scope that you use, you're going to have a different scale. If you don't switch the scale when you switch the scope, Platesolve will fail. And I will explain that to you briefly here. Now the other numbers down here, settings and specs, you don't need any of that other stuff. A lot of people put in the pixels, the width and the height. You don't need that. Scale is the only thing you need for plate solving. If you have a rotatable camera, you may have to put angle in there or something. But normally, mine works fine, and the only thing I have input there is the scale of 1.19 pixels. Now, one of the problems that is on here, and I'm trying to find it, it's not in that one there, but I think it's in the guidebook, but it's instead of millimeters, it has meters. Well, that's wrong. It's millimeters, but I'll explain that up at the house here in a minute. But the big thing to remember, Tools, Equipment Profile Manager, Camera, Scale, because that haunted me for hours until I figured it out. And I'll be right with you in a second. Okay, so this is the second part of this video. I'm going to connect them together. How to figure out your scale. It's a formula, and basically it's 206.3 times the pixel size in UM of the camera you're using divided by the focal length of your scope. You have to do this, or plate solving will drive you insane. So this is the gear I have, and this is how I came up with 1.19, which works really good for my gear. It will not work for yours unless you happen to have the exact same gear I have. So my telescope is the Orion triplet. It has a focal length of 805 millimeters. And if you don't know those numbers, you can call them up pretty easily. Right here is my scope that I bought. There it says focal length 805 millimeters. You can find the specs on the internet. And in line with that, my camera is a ZWO ASI 294 MC Pro, and the pixel size is 4.63 UM. So, and I apologize for using paint here, but it just was the easiest way to do it. So again, 805 millimeters, and my pixel size of the ZWO 294 MC Pro is 4.63. So, you plug that into that formula, you get 206.3 times 4.63 divided by 805 millimeters. So let's bring up a calculator here. So 206.3, and I'm just doing this just to show that I come up with 1.19, hopefully, times the pixel size of 4.63 divided by the focal length of your scope, which is 805. And you come up with 1.18. When you poke that in, it rounds it to 1.19, and that works perfect. So remember, two things to check when your plate solves fail. Make sure you have your lat and long entered correctly, and make sure your scale is correct for the scope and camera that you are currently using. If you switch cameras, it's going to be different. If you switch scopes, it's going to be different. If you add a 2 times borrow, it's going to be different. Whatever your focal length equals out to of your scope, with any lenses that you have in between, like a 2 times or 3 times, you're going to have to figure out how that changes the focal length. Because if you don't, your plate solve is going to fail. So that, hopefully that helps. Trial and error with this for me took me 2 days. Hopefully I save you the 2 days. But if you have any questions, leave them below, or any comments, leave them below. And if you find this helpful, go ahead and subscribe and help me keep going. Thanks.